Welcome back to Whiteboard Gematria. I'm your host Dallas, and let's get to it. The Afghan government collapses. The Day of Destruction, Tisha B'Av, 9/11. The Day of Destruction happened on 11/9, the 9th day, and the 11th month, the 9/11. Tisha B'Av is a commemoration of the destruction of the two temples. This was the first destruction that took place on Solomon's temple by the Babylonians, and the second temple of Herod was destroyed by the Romans. And it came to pass that Solomon began to build the house of the Lord. And he set up pillars in the porch of the temple, and he set up them, calling them Jachin and Boaz, the two pillars, the two towers, which are now signified in every Mason hall. The 9/11, the Twin Towers, the Tisha B'Av. Taliban says the U.S. must stick to its 9/11 exit date, but we will not attack them. The spokesperson cites Trump administration's agreement to withdraw and reiterates that we are committed not to attack the U.S. carrying out evacuations. Now, the government collapses was also signified with the big giant stamp on the side of the plane 1109. 1109, the mirror of 9/11. But when we read it backwards and we get the 119 as situated here, it's very interesting because 811 is connected to 119. It's also connected to Tisha B'Av in 2019 when August 11 actually was Tisha B'Av. Now, it also had a twin typhoon, a twin incident, just like the Twin Towers, the Jachin and Boaz. We have the twin typhoons. And 28 dead and 1 million evacuated on August 11th when it made landfall in China. August 11th, 2019, Tisha B'Av was the 223rd day of the year, which we know is connected to the Georgia Guidestones 322, the mirror, in 1980. Revelation 2:2-3 is interesting in combination with Georgia Guidestones, as it says, "And I will kill her children, and I will give unto every one of you according to your works." And we get the connection to the Georgia Guidestones also to a depopulation language of maintain humanity under 500 million. In 1973, 7 years prior to the Georgia Guidestones and the concept of the 500 million being put on stone, this movie proves this concept and idea has been around for a very long time, and at least 7 years before, and obviously then we will know much earlier. For in 1973, they couldn't resist but tell us to our faces.
2 decades, there will be 7... The problem is this, James. 2 decades, there will be 7 billion human beings on this planet. Most of them brown, yellow, or black. All of them hungry. All of them determined to love. They'll swarm out of their breeding grounds into Europe and North America. Hence Vietnam. An all-out effort there will give us control of South Asia for decades to come. And with proper planning, we can reduce the population to 550 million by the end of the century. I know. I've seen the data.
Not doing it will be catastrophic. We'll have 8 degrees, we'll be 8 degrees hotter in not 10, but in 30 or 40 years, and basically none of the crops will grow. Most of the people will have died, and the rest of us will be cannibals. Civilization will have broken down. What the few people who are left will be living in a failed state like Somalia or Sudan, and living conditions will be intolerable. The droughts will be so bad there'll be no more corn growing. Not doing it is suicide. Just like dropping bombs on each other, nuclear weapons is suicide. So we've got to stop doing the 2 suicidal things, which are hanging on to our nuclear weapons
and global
and then after that we've got to stabilize the population. When I was born, there were
so what's wrong with the population? I mean,
with too many people. That's why we have global warming. We have global warming because too many people are using too much stuff. But if there were less people, they'd be using less stuff.
So the mantra has never gone away, and it's just being externalized. It's just being able so that we can see it now, because they're bold enough to let us know because this is the agenda. They want us all living in a failed state in Somalia. They've been telling us we need to stabilize the population for a very, very long time. Now back to the Afghan government, because they're sending a signal with this. Now this is where things get a little interesting. So we get the 1109, and we also get it that it's the Afghan government collapses, okay? So we have a connection to the 1109, so the Tisha B'Av. We have a connection to the government collapsing and an association to depopulation. So we have an 1109, we have a collapse, and we have depopulation. And the 1109 being significant, associating the Tisha B'Av, because that always connotates some sort of event of sadness or great sorrow. Which is interesting because on October 19th, 2021, which is the 1019, is the 73rd, leaving 73 days left in the year. Now that's interesting because that's when this movie of this propaganda talking about the Georgia Guidestone, same similar theme, almost to the exact degree, being echoed by Ted Turner, we see 73 that they decided to release that. And here we get the 1019 with the 73 being the days left in the year as well. So it's very interesting that we get the 1109, we get the collapse, we get the association to population reduction. What's interesting about this as well, because that could also signify November 9th, the 1109, so keep that open as well. I'm going to focus on October 19th because with it being the 73rd, leaving 73 days in the year, that's the 21st prime. And that's a very interesting number that we've taken a look at because of the algorithm in which the triangular number plays with the 2 and the 1, with the 21 being the 6th triangular number, the 2211 being the 66th triangular number, and 222,111 is the 666th. And this actually continues on by adding more 2s and 1s, the expansion of 6s. They populate in the same manner. What's also interesting is 9011 is the 1120. So very interesting. We also see how when we have August 11th, 811, when we run Tisha B'Av, August 11th, 2019, to the October 19th, the 119, another version of Tisha B'Av, we actually get 2211. So we get a direct reference in that October 19th with the 21 in the date time span between the two Tisha B'Avs. Now what's also interesting is when we take March 11th, which in 2020 was when the WHO declared it a pandemic, when we run that to October 19th, we also get a 1 and 3 2s. And we also, when we run it from the same date, if we do months, weeks, and days, as opposed to years and days, we actually get a 1911. Which is also interesting because 19 is the 8th prime, so we get an 811 in there as well. If we take that same date, March 11th, and we run it with years, months, weeks, and days, we actually get a 1711, which is very interesting because that falls into the same numerical pattern when patient 0 was defined as November 17th. And when we take the November 17th date of patient 0 of COVID, that runs all the way up to October 19th with another triple 1s and 2s, which is the opposite of the one we just saw, which was the 1 1 and the 3 2s. So it's absolutely numerically connecting and coming together. On November 11th, 1918, because this is sticking with the timelines that they produce by their dates and events, we also take a look at November 11th, 1918, which was World War I, and when we run that date, because we know that that was also a choreographed event, just as we saw with 9/11, just as we saw with October 11th, and we saw with this whole scamdemic that is going on right now, we see World War I. Well, October 19th, 2021, if we run November 11th to October 19th, 2021, it's exactly 102 years, 11 months, and 8 days. So we get a 102, 11, and an 8, which is fascinating because event 201 took place on October 18th. So an 811 and a 102, and we get the 201 and the 118. So it's absolutely crazy. So you can see them running this algorithm. They can, by running these numbers, they can actually have their dates pre-picked for them, and then they just plan for those dates for those events, because they get stuck in this algorithm and they create a feedback loop of the same numbers, so they can just plug these dates in and plan accordingly. It's not hard to pull this kind of stuff off, because after a while the same numbers just repeat. It's also interesting to note that Jesus foretold Tisha B'Av. In Matthew 24, Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and Jesus said unto them, See you not these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And thus it was in 70 A.D. when the Herod's temple was destroyed. Jesus was killed on a cube at the age of 33 as a human and a blood sacrifice. Now, these mathematical associations are absolutely interesting in connection with what is going on here with the 9/11. Jesus is associated to the prophecy of the coming down of the Tisha B'Av, the second tower. Jesus himself then was also killed on a cube at the age of 33. And the words used are human and blood sacrifice. Well, it's interesting that Jesus died at the age of 33, right? And we get the human and the blood sacrifice. Well, human and blood sacrifice and human sacrifice equals 86 and 68, which is terminologies that this just become part of our culture.
Take it off, Joe! Take the menu off the menu. 86 it!
And he was killed on a cube, which is a symbol of Saturn, the Saturn death cult. And cube equals 77, which gives us our 33 reference. So it's very interesting that Jesus died at the age of 33, on a 33, at 3 p.m. on the 3rd. So, do you think people are playing numerical games with us about this kind of stuff? It's interesting how Biden, his birthday is November 20th, the 1120. Very interesting date there again, right? The 1120. The 1120, 9011. The prime is 1120. Very interesting coincidences, isn't it? That the 1120 is Biden's birthday. And the span between Biden's birthday and October 19th, 2021 is 333. February 2nd, 2020 was the 2222 day. It was a leap year and made it a very interesting day because the day of the year was now the 33rd day and left 333 days left in the year. The Super Bowl was a very important sign point for the events that are taking place, as the Phoenix was rising in the Super Bowl, signaling the beginning of chaos. We also saw that follow up with children in cages, hence the chaos and the cages that we're all sitting in. Now, from the date of the Super Bowl to October 19th, we also get a version of a 322 or a 223. Now, 33 is pretty huge throughout the language that is thrown around and even connected heavily to COVID, but it's not just COVID. So to take a look, we're going to take a look at this to come to some kind of understanding. For the streak is snapped. Bradley and Bridgeport have both moved to 33 degrees. Look at all the 33s everywhere. The Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, the Supreme Council 33. What do they have to say about 33? The authority of 33. The Supreme Council at Charleston was the first Supreme Council of the 33 degree in the world. It continues to exist today as the Supreme Council 33 degree Southern Jurisdiction, but was moved to Washington, D.C. in 1870 and now sits at the House of the Temple. As the premier Supreme Council, it naturally exercised authority over the entire country. The 33 exercises authority over the entire country. Interesting, Amazon releasing on Amazon Music the 33rd Hurt Christ Consciousness Music Brainwave Therapy System, 33 associated to the Christ consciousness from the whole Theosophy movement and the consciousness awareness movement and this cosmic Christ coming movement, all being mixed together in this music around the pyramid construction, archaeology, the symbol and shape metaphors of sacred geometry in the pyramid. Even the Schumann resonance reference to the 33rd frequency of the earth, the extreme low frequencies. So what's fascinating about this 33rd Hertz Christ consciousness was they even released it on March 3rd, 2016. Dropped the 0216, so March 3rd, 33, and 6 times 6 times 6. The same came to Jesus. We know that thou art a teacher from God. Numerology Life Path 33, the Master Teacher. What is the meaning of the master number 33? Well, number 33 is a master number, the Master Teacher, and it's a combination of the two master numbers 11 and 22. Just as 11 spheres in the Tree of Life combined with the 22 paths in the Tree of Life will give you 33, spiritual perfection, Jesus Christ. Or the third pillar of the Masons and the Zionist movement.
22 goes to 33.
As we sort through this here in Arkansas, today we have 33 confirmed positive cases in Arkansas.
As of today, we have 33 confirmed cases with Boston residents. We expect those numbers to climb.
As of this afternoon, we have 33 Pennsylvanians who have tested positive for COVID-19.
So as of this morning, there were 33 cases in North Carolina.
Good evening to you. Lots to get to tonight. I'm Leon Hendricks. We want to start with new information into our newsroom. Within the past couple of hours, there are now 33 confirmed cases of the coronavirus in Michigan.
That is 33 new cases from just yesterday.
Good afternoon, I'm Karen Swenson. More cases and more events affected. Here is the latest coronavirus news. There are now 33 cases in Louisiana.
As expected,
the number of cases of COVID-19 jumps, a total of 33.
As the Supreme Council, it naturally exercised authority over the entire country. Do you think it gave it up? Do you think it stopped? Do you think this came to an end? Well, we just heard the compliance from all the different locations, and that could have went on forever, as the amount of those stories were available during that time period. And they were all signing on and acknowledging the 33, the Supreme Council, who has authority over the entire nation. 33 districts, the Supreme Council of 33. The UN, the United Nations logo of the earth, divided into 33 districts. On each side is a branch of a laurel leaf with 13 leaves on each side. Added together, you get the 26-letter alphabet of the one world language, all sitting on the seat of authority. In ancient Roman religion, Victoria was the goddess of victory, often depicted crowning gods and emperors with laurel wreaths in her hands. The coins of Octavian Augustus to coins from the time of Constantine the Great, emperors were portrayed with the laurel wreath on the head. In ancient times, a laurel wreath made from interwoven leaves of the bay laurel plant was worn on the head of emperors to signify imperial power and authority. It has endured for millennia as one of the defining symbols of ancient Rome, and continues to be used to today. As head of the Roman Catholic Church, the Pope is the supreme spiritual leader of the Church and controls church doctrine. As the Supreme Council, it naturally exercised authority over the entire nation. And they took the United Nations and the supreme authority, and they handed over the WHO's emblem in 1948 to the symbol of the serpent. And the great dragon, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, in 1948 was put on the banner of World Health Organization and the 33 world. So the serpent was given the 33 in 1948, the 223. Which is interesting because all these 33s and all these 223s, wherever we look, same numbers, same system, different time periods. In 1933, in the Holocaust, on 322, the concentration camps opened. On 3/3, on March 3rd, Jewish doctors became barred from practicing medicine in German institutions. Revelation 12:4, and his tail drew 1/3 of the parts of the stars of heaven. 1/3. 1 divided by 3, 1/3 is 33s. And in Revelation 12:3, behold, a great red dragon. The great red dragon, 137, is the prime 33. So when we took a look at the violence that erupts at the Kabul airport as Afghans try to flee the Taliban on August 16th, 16 is 8 plus 8, August is the 8th month. Interesting how they update this article at 8:11. August 16th, the Taliban. That's when we get August 16th is the government collapsing. And 8:16, the collapse brings us this message of the Tisha B'Av in the 9/11. And August 16th just happens to also be the 137th days remaining left in the year and the 33rd prime. The Roman eagle sitting on the seat of authority. The Nazi banner showing its allegiance, and the United States as well. I have learned most of all from the Jesuit order. So far, there has been nothing more imposing on earth than the hierarchical organization of the Catholic Church. A good part of that organization I have transported directly into my own party. What began in Rome, grew in Germany, is now taking root and fulfillment now we see in the U.S. Under the guise of the serpent, the 33, and the great red dragon, whatever you want to call him. I just laughed because he started out as a serpent and somehow now he's got himself puffed up to the great red dragon. Now let's take a look at this symbol, because this time, this date, you know, we also got to see that if it's a setup, is it real? Because we know that they don't like telling us the truth. And when we take a look at this, they're using fake airplanes. This is a whole fake thing. The whole government collapsing is fake. It's not real. It's a scam. Just like everything they do is a scam. Here's an actual aircraft. And you can see with the absolute difference between the inflatable decoy plane. Military dummies, our decoys, are fake military equipment that are intended to deceive the enemy. During World War II, dummy airfields and even towns were used in England to divert German bombers from real targets. At the battle in 1944 of La Ciotat, however you pronounce that, American aircraft dropped hundreds of dummy paratroopers. The goal of this operation was to divert German troops away from main landing zones of Operation Dragoon. Additionally, during World War II, Operation Quicksilver was an attempt to mislead the Germans to a location of the D-Day invasion by using dummy military equipment, which is still available. It's veteran-owned and made in the U.S., was one of the many companies out there who want to outfit your military personnel with training structures, illness isolation units, military vehicle decoys, targets, and more. With such items as the inflatable F-22 Raptor jet, 5th generation stealth single-seat fighter jet developed for the U.S. Air Force, advanced air combat capabilities in service since 2005 and utilized by the U.S. in multiple combat missions and simulations. That'd be great for a front yard. They make inflatable military tanks, inflatable military vehicles, inflatable military aircraft, body care tents for up to FEMA level needs in order to house people. And just as they say, customize your military inflatable for any emission requirement. We've been creating full-sized inflatables for over 25 years right here in the U.S. Our expertise enables us to customize replicas for all military machineries. The IK2 Defense can design and manufacture inflatable tanks, transport vehicles, and other military equipment that matches any required specifications. Just enter your military email address to gain access. That's right. It wasn't even a real plane. And that's why everything is awesome when you're living a dream.
Time he has a trump card. His secret services have assembled a phantom army. Codename Operation Fortitude. To misdirect German reconnaissance units, thousands of inflatable vehicles of all types are deployed near Dover to make it look like a landing in the Pas-de-Calais. Codename Operation Fortitude. To misdirect German reconnaissance units, thousands of inflatable vehicles of all types are deployed near Dover to make it look like a landing in the Pas-de-Calais.
If you enjoy the work that I do here, you can support me through Patreon or through PayPal. And I just want to say, this was obviously a whole setup, the whole idea. So we see the Zionist plan moving forward in the whole desert area there. So we're going to have to watch that to see how that plays out. But more importantly, the symbol of the plane, and the headline attached to it, which is the government collapses. So we're going to see this government collapse associated with 9/11. We also see that being connected to certain dates, October 9th. November 9th is an interesting possibility as well, but with considering all the other occult symbolisms around this, I do think that depending on where we're looking at, that will probably be either the next big event date or something. Who knows? We'll have to take a look and see, but there's just so much stuff banging around this one that it tends to look like they just have to honor this day coming up. So as we track the timeline of getting used to following Satan's plan, his generational plan, we can see all the way back from World War I. The timeline connects the Twin Towers. In 2019, we got another hit, and it just continues forward. And that's why, to me, it seems like there's just enough there that it tends to fall into that timeline that they're looking on. So, that being said, I hope the rest of the world, I know it's starting to get crazy. Everything's ramping up again. And I hope you guys are prepared. You got to get out there. If you have not prepared by this point, and I don't know why you're still listening to me, you must go and buy food. Costco is now starting to say that they're running out of supplies. The food chain has crashed. It has come to an end. All of the options are going to start disappearing here. The lockdowns are going to be intensified. You're going to be forced into your house and not be allowed out for many different reasons. So this is the big one. This is what we've been waiting for all of you who've been waiting for to hit the fan. Well, go take a look around the world. It has sprayed. So get your stuff together, figure out where you need to be, because right now our decisions are pretty much made for us. So I hope you guys have come to realize, and it is what it is. Time to call on Jesus. You can't make it. There's no way we're going to be making day one into day two without God directing us. So wherever you are, call on his name. And wherever you are, I hope this finds you well. God bless.